Hey guys, Pat O'Connor here with Market Real Estate, and today I wanted to give you some quick tips on a 1031 exchange. What is it and what is it for? So a client I'm working with right now is doing what's called a 1031 exchange. And this is just going to do a couple quick broad strokes of what that is. So if you have questions about it, definitely just send me a text, email, DM on Instagram. Quick, easy way to communicate if it brings up more questions than answers, which I'm sure it will, because it's a pretty complicated process on the surface. But once you know, it's got a couple real easy to follow guidelines. So if you own an investment property, which could be a business, a commercial property, a home, a condo, a duplex, triplex, fourplex, anything that you don't live in, it's for investment purposes only, not a primary residence. What you are allowed to do with the tax code is what's called a 1031 exchange. And so what you're doing is deferring the capital gains tax as long as you push that money into a like-kind property within a certain set of time. And one quick case study on how this applies to your average person. It's not some lofty sort of convoluted business transaction that isn't available to the average person. Someone that I've helped recently, they bought a one-bedroom condo as their first home. Perfect little one-bedroom condo. They loved it. It was clean, remodeled, nice, neat. They had a small down payment to get into it, so it worked out perfectly for them. A couple years go by, turns out they outgrew it. They found a significant other. Now, one closet's not enough, of course. So now what they did is placed a renter into it. So about 5 years in, they move up into their bigger home, put a renter in that initial condo. A few years go by, they like the equity that's appreciating in it, but now they're finally ready to move on. They like where they're at in the market cycle. They've got a nice little equity cushion and they are ready to exchange that property. So what do? A 1031 exchange. And one of the main players in this equation that's very important is meeting with a qualified intermediary, referred to as a QI. And now what they are going to do is hold that money so you never touch it. So the QI will hold your capital gains until you identify and purchase the replacement property, the like-kind investment property. So what they did is they took their equity from that small one-bedroom condo, they stepped up, meaning the value has to be more than what you're selling. The original cost basis of what you sold needs to cost more than that. They ended up buying a fourplex, filling it with renters, creating an income stream. So now it's cash flowing, people are paying for it, plus they're getting a few $100 a month. And we've held on to that for about the last 3 years, and now it's just an income stream, basically a business producing income for them passively. And on a large scale, a separate client who is someone whose portfolio I manage a large chunk of in San Diego, what they did was over the course of, decades, they ended up buying up into a few multifamily properties in the San Antonio area a few years back, and they like the economic drivers and indicators there. And so what they decided to do was out of San Diego, they bought into some San Antonio properties, rode that market cycle until about last year, and they decided to do 1031, sell all those properties. You can sell multiple properties with a 1031 exchange. They sold at a great point in the San Antonio cycle. They located another market where they really liked what the economic indicators were, and they pushed all their profits out of San Antonio into this new market. And so now they're over there stabilizing that portfolio, and we'll see how far that goes. So there are several different paths you can take with a 1031 exchange. It gets not complicated, but depending on what your personal situation is, what your hopes are for the future of that property, all kinds of different personal situations that we talk about, so we can decide what the best route to take for you is. But that's where the conversation really starts. If this is something that sounds like it could be beneficial to you, the first thing you should do is reach out and talk to me. We discuss your personal situation, get you in touch with the QI, figure out the best situation for you, and keep it moving from there. One final little bit of information that I forgot to mention. So you're exchanging like kind for like kind, meaning one investment for another investment property. But the amazing thing is it doesn't have to stay an investment forever. So you defer all your gains, all your taxes and capital gains from the first property into an investment property. Maybe residents live there for 2 to 3 years as a rental property. You can eventually move back into it. So this is a way to buy up into your dream home as well that you eventually want to live in, and defer those initial taxes out of the first investment into the current one that then becomes your primary residence. So again, knowing your situation, knowing what your end use is, that's how we figure out the perfect way to structure this for you and achieve your real estate goals. Thanks, guys.